All right. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good
Jack.
morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Okay, good. We did it almost in unison that time. Good morning, all Fin texters who are out there tuning in. I know that everyone's been getting text messages from Jackie about these, and we have a pretty good following now. I've heard good feedback that people like to play us in the background, so we've become elevator music.
That's good. That means we're catchy.
We're catchy, yeah. We're something like a virus. Which is we're going to touch on today when we get into actually what we're going to be talking about. But first, I just wanted to say good morning. It's a beautiful fall day, and I hope everyone is doing well. Everyone's taking good care of themselves. Don't forget to like and share and do all that other stuff you're supposed to do and I'm supposed to say. And let's get started with this. And also comment. Commenting is very important. Hi, Elizabeth.
Good morning,
Elizabeth always says hi. Good morning,
Good
Elizabeth.
morning.
Yeah, she's the one who uses us like elevator music. She confessed that to me.
Did she?
Yeah, she said she did. She says she likes to have us on in the background while she's working.
Like background noise.
Yeah, background noise. That's what we are. White noise.
Whatever gets it in. You know, our schedules are tight. If you could listen to us on the go, listen to us on the go. You don't have to see these beautiful faces, but
That's probably the best way to do it. When you're in your car, listen. Yeah. You know, that's what I do. I listen to this when I'm in my car, and I'm always shocked and delighted about how brilliant we are. Huh. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing we always do is we do a testimonial because we are all about the inspiration. So Jennifer has picked out a wonderful testimonial.
Yeah, so we generally have testimonials from women, so I thought it would be nice to shake it up and do a guy's testimonial. So, keep in mind that men lose weight very differently. Their bodies are different than ours, than females' bodies. So this is from Frank. He said his starting weight was 350 pounds. He was a size 58 pants. His ending weight was 290, size 46 pants. Total weight loss 60 pounds and 12 sizes down.
12 sizes, Jesus.
12 sizes, yeah. I feel fantastic. The program works if you work it. My energy level is through the roof. I have bone on bone in both knees. With Thea's help, I'm in zero knee pain. She has become a trusted friend and a fantastic coach. So, I think that's a big testimony to the fact that when people lose weight, they lose fat. So there's a lot more size shrinkage than there is just weight loss. So right. Visually, the program helps people to burn fat. So it's really a good thing. I mean, 12 sizes down is almost an unbelievable number.
It's crazy.
That is crazy. And you can see his visual. So
yeah. And the interesting thing about Frank is that Frank is a salesman for a new concern. And I told him that his numbers are going to go through the roof. He's lost so much weight. He looks so good. He dresses beautifully. He has a great personality, and he's going to end up owning that company. We're all going to be working for him someday, and that makes me pleased. All right, good. Thank you. And next, we're going to get to our recipe of the day. Jackie, do you have a good recipe for us?
I do, actually, and I think I'm switching it up, and I'm making it tonight.
Are you wearing glasses?
I am.
Could you get closer to the thing? What kind of glasses are these? Are these blue blockers? Are these
they are prescription and blue blocker.
They're prescription and blue blockers. They're very they've got a very Jackie quality to them. No, not Jackie you, Jackie O.
Can you give me credit for anything?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it's a brand new look.
Original.
It's never been seen before. Thank you, Jackie, for introducing it to the world.
Why can't it be like a Jackie Maz quality?
I said you look good, did I not?
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I had to read between the lines. Jen, don't choke on that coffee.
I was going to say I would take the Jackie O reference in a heartbeat.
Honestly,
seriously,
I'm okay with that.
You'll learn how to take a compliment.
Jackie O.
No, it is a compliment, but I have to bust your chops.
You don't have to.
I do.
You need to take another sip. Hold on, Jack.
Exactly. Jen, get that tea. That's why Jen can't put her glass down.
Okay, people are starving. They need a recipe. Let's go.
I'm making cauliflower fried rice. So you're taking 2 tablespoons of coconut. I prefer it with coconut oil on program or off program, just because I like that flavor. So you're doing 2 tablespoons of melted or you could do the liquid version of the raw coconut oil, 2 garlic cloves. You're going to take 1/2 of a sweet onion. I personally like onion a lot, so I usually do 3/4 for the most part. Chop it really fine. Chop up some fresh red bell pepper, 2 eggs, black pepper, coconut aminos, and green onions. And of course, your cauliflower rice. And that's it. You just saute it all together. I usually wait until my onions are translucent.
Right. You put them in first.
I do.
Yeah, you get them to caramelize.
Some people don't because they like the crunch. I could go either way, but I think it gives it more flavor, especially if you're on program. I've done it on program this way. You want to take 2 tablespoons of your onion and brown that first.
Wow, that sounds good, Jack.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. And then just if you're protein on the side, like I'm going to do it with shrimp.
And for those who aren't aware, if you go to Whole Foods, they already have the rice cauliflower. And so does Trader Joe. So there is no reason to be chopping it up for a half an hour.
No, it's hard. But
We have to talk about one thing that I do wrong every single time. You have to squeeze the water out of it. When you cook the cauliflower.
I don't think you do.
So I got to tell you, I don't suggest taking the water out. So I'll be honest with you. I've gotten on the side because we eat so much cauliflower rice. Or I mix it in everything. I even put it in meatloaf for my kids.
Oh.
I hide it in the meatloaf. I brown it with onions and then I put it. That'll be next week's recipe.
That's a good idea.
I go off on a tangent. But
Corinne, I think you're talking about if you want to make bread with it, like a piece
bread.
of
No, I make Jackie will tell you, I struggle. No matter what I do, I cannot make cauliflower properly.
What is your problem with cauliflower?
It's all liquid and water.
Maybe you overcook it.
I don't know.
You might overcook it. So I actually buy the organic frozen cauliflower bags from Costco.
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing in them. There's no preserves. It's just rice cauliflower in individual bags. And I take those and I throw them in the microwave. I keep all the liquid that's there and I dump it into the pan. Just especially because you can't have the oil on program. The coconut oil adds flavor, but you don't want to cook too quickly and burn your vegetables.
Jackie, would there be a way to make this in the air fryer? Because I just pretty much use the air fryer exclusively these days.
I probably not the rice, but you could just do whole like cloves, like whole florets of.
Well, that I do, but there's no way to do the rice that you're aware of, the rice cauliflower.
I think it would fall through
the basket, right?
Go through the basket, yeah.
No. Obviously, I wouldn't allow that. I would I would put it.
Honestly, I don't see why not. I would definitely just down the time because there's small pieces. Try it. Mix it up in a bowl first, and then put it in the basket.
Okay, I may give that a shot. I like this recipe. It seems pretty easy to execute.
It's really easy. It's honestly so easy.
All right,
it's a 5-minute meal.
Sounds good. And I keep telling you to bring it in. Everything you're working on, you should bring in because I, as the boss, have to taste test it. I'm not going to recommend anyone do anything that I wouldn't do myself.
Tomorrow, okay?
I'm going to be like the Mafia Don's driver, and I'm going to taste everything. Hey, it says we're having trouble streaming to Facebook. It might be an issue on Facebook's end. It is possible the stream was ended or deleted on Facebook.
No.
We'll keep trying and let you know if it's resolved. Please check Facebook to ensure the stream looks okay. So I guess we're still recording, so we're going to do this and we're going to put it out there. So you'll still be able to watch it if you can hear me, or if you can't hear me, you will be able to. Yeah. All right, let's get into our topic of the day. So let's start off with something kind of fun and light. Here's my question for our illustrious panel. What is the most physical pain you've ever been in?
Oh. Kidney stones.
That was awful.
That was awful. That's horrific.
The worst.
That was awful.
Jen, so that was worse than giving birth?
Oh, hell yeah. I would give birth again 3 times over and no meds. I did natural with 2 of them over kidney stones.
What did kidney stones feel like to you?
Giving birth 10x.
Wow.
There's anybody who's ever had them knows that it's indescribable.
It's reputed to be some of the worst pain that's possible.
I don't do meds at all. And literally I had my 2 children, first 2 were natural. I was on a morphine drip with my kidney stones.
Yeah, you were begging. You were
give me
drugs, please.
I was begging. There was no relief from it. I've never.
Jack, how about you?
I'd have to say Isabella, delivering Isabella was for sure.
Delivering. Yeah, it's not an ongoing thing.
I shouldn't say labor with her was really bad. I had back labor and she broke my tailbone.
Oh,
We have a similar
My
similar problem.
sister-
Yeah, we actually had a similar labor, but Isabella, she broke my tailbone.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
Yeah, and I actually had no medication with either of my children.
are you going to be using that for years to guilt her?
I don't, and honestly, my kid, even if I tried, Isabella she wouldn't even phase her. Giovanni
Yeah.
would try
I
to,
got a feeling you're going to break it out at the most inopportune
any
moment.
chance I can. You broke
Yeah.
my tailbone. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Isabella could kill her.
Trisha, how about you?
I had kidney stones and they were awful.
Two kidney stones. Okay.
And I was on my honeymoon in
Oh.
Aruba, and I flew home in that pain on a 5-hour flight and went like straight to the ER.
Oh my god.
You know, I hate to be a guy about this, but I really feel bad for your husband.
It was the last 2 days.
Last 2
Oh,
days
Oh,
that
it was
she
the
did
last 2
last
days.
two
So you consummated the marriage.
Yes, and then flew home.
Okay, good. So
It was awful.
you took care of business first, at least.
Yes, correct.
Okay. I'm not trying to embarrass you, but you have children, so people are assuming that
Yeah.
you did in fact consummate that. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. Corinne, how about you?
The birth of Brianna was god awful in my world, but it wasn't just the birth. It was like it took me probably 7 months to recover from Brianna because
Wow.
just like Jackie, she broke my tailbone. I had a stage 4 tear, and I had more problems than I care to even discuss out loud.
And do you use that to guilt her?
No.
You don't. You haven't
No.
yet.
Brianna's
no.
sweet though. Brianna would be like, "Mom, I'm so sorry."
Oh.
Yeah,
Aw.
right. Yeah, Brianna's a sweet kid, and she's made up for it since.
Oh yeah.
Now, Marissa, on the other hand, I don't know about that.
This is being recorded. I might use this to blackmail you with Marissa. Thea, go
I
ahead.
love
How
her,
about you?
but
Morning, Vicky.
Thea, worst pain you've ever been in?
I had a ulcerated cornea.
Ooh.
Oh,
The
I
eye.
think you told me about this. What
That makes
happened?
my eye hurt thinking about it.
Horrible, horrible. It felt like there were like 10,000 little tiny shards of glass ripping my eye apart. And
What happened again?
So I thought I was taking eye drops to lubricate my eyes, but it was a disinfectant. I put a disinfectant in my eye,
Oh god.
and I was screaming when I got to the hospital. I was screaming for them to take my eye out. That I didn't need my eye. I said, "Just take it out. I don't need it. I couldn't take the pain."
Oh gosh.
God.
Yeah. Wow. That.
It's so funny. You feel it, like you
Yeah.
said. Like my head just hurts thinking about it.
Yeah. I want to go to sleep now.
Yeah, I'm like, I would go to
If you're
bed.
watching at home and you're going to put eye drops in your eyes,
Please label.
yeah, read it carefully.
I did it with crazy glue. I
You
put
put
crazy glue
in your eye.
You did?
you know,
What
I
happened?
was on a ski trip and I fell and I broke a nail and somebody said, "Here, glue it." So I put the nail glue and then I went like this.
Oh.
And I had to go to the ER on a ski trip. It was horrible.
Oh,
So,
You went trips in the ER.
yes.
Where'd you
So,
We're
so
not
for
going
me,
to play with you ever.
it was open. It stayed open because there was like a little bit of like a line that I couldn't blink past it.
Oh,
So-
my God.
So the ongoing joke in my family is that whenever I go on vacation, something is to go wrong.
Note to self, we're never going away.
if I knew this, Trisha and Thea, you never would have been hired. From now on, this is one of the questions I'm going to use to vet employees. I'm going to say, have you ever put anything stupid into your eyeball?
I never use crazy glue again. Like I hardly ever use it.
My
I
Lord.
don't touch it. Yes.
Jesus. Well, for me, I blew a disc in my low back.
Okay.
Now, for those of you who like irony, it happened while I was in chiropractic school. I woke up one morning. I couldn't move. I couldn't get out of bed. It took me a half hour to roll out of bed. I was crawling around on the floor. And idiot that I am, my first thought was, "Oh, this is wonderful. It's going to make me so much more compassionate as a doctor." And
Did-
then the funny thing
That's
was
the
is that at the time I was in student clinic and I couldn't stand up straight. I was bent over and in a position that they call antalgia, right? And what it means is that there's so much damage to the disc is that your body wants to protect you from it, so it kind of splints the muscles and you can't stand up straight. And it was the most painful thing in the world. I never understood like how a soldier could give up the position of their whole battalion. until I was in that kind of pain. And at that point, similar to Jen, although with Jen, it was just begging for drugs. Like she became like a street drug addict. With me, it would have been like, okay, guys, they're right over that hill. Go get them. Just leave me alone. Like that's how bad it was at times. Now, here's the reason I bring this up is because oddly enough, throughout that time, I did not take any medication. I took no pain relievers. I took no aspirin. And people would say to me, are you blanking crazy? And the reason I didn't take any medication was this. I knew that my body was trying to protect me from doing further damage. The last thing I wanted to do was to take something that wouldn't allow me to feel that damage. And then, I start doing the rumba and all of a sudden I create more damage. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So we touched on this last week when we touched on symptoms. Jen actually brought it up. So Jen, what does symptoms mean? When a person has symptoms, what does that actually mean?
So we talked about it in like in the context of colds, right? Colds and viruses. So the symptoms are like the body expelling whatever's going on. So if somebody's sick and you're coughing or you've got like stuffy nose or phlegm coming out, it's the tail end and the body's pushing out all the germs. So the symptoms are actually a good thing. It's an expression of the body's immunity working properly. Right.
And certainly in that case, right? It's your body's smart enough to not want it kept in, so it wants to get it out.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thea, how about you? What do symptoms mean to you?
So the symptoms are communication. Your body's communicating with you to let you know that something's not right.
Kind of a warning signal.
Right.
Right. Did you see the title for this?
No.
Okay, so the title today, and you can't see the whole thing, it says basically the dashboard warning light is on. Please get me some black tape. So that's kind of a metaphor about symptoms, right? And that's kind of a metaphor for what we generally do with symptoms. Ladies, Trisha and Corinne, you have children. What is your strategy when they get sick? Is it if they're running a fever, let's say of 103, is it your impulse to give them medication, or is it your impulse not to and let the body do what it's designed to do?
My impulse is to give medication if they're miserable.
Right.
Kind of like not to immediately give it, but just to kind of like wait it out. But like, for example, like when my kids have a cold, I use, what's the name of the brand?
Cold Calm and Oscillum.
Yeah, Cold Calm Oscillum. It's natural homeopathic stuff that I mix together that I use for the girls, and I use it for myself actually.
Yeah.
Got it. Does that help them?
Tremendously.
Good.
It actually works. Like I've used, Robitussin and all that other stuff as well, but that works better for my children than regular medicine.
Right.
Yeah.
Trisha, how about you? What do you do?
I let it ride out for the most part, unless it's something like super serious, like a strep throat kind of thing. I've let fevers ride out. I feel like a fever is its way of working and the body is fighting off whatever is going on. So for the most part, I really don't jump on medication for the most part.
I feel the need to do a little disclaimer here. So what we're saying here, we're not trying to give medical advice. We're not trying to tell anybody to take drugs, to not take drugs. What we're trying to do is explain something that a lot of people don't understand. I had this conversation years ago with a buddy of mine. His kid was sick and, they were about to drug the kid up. And I said, let me ask you a question. What is a fever for? Like, why is there a fever? And he said, I don't know. And I said, well, the body knows that the virus can't live at a particular temperature, or bacteria. It can't live at a particular temperature. So it turns up to heat to actually kill it.
Fight it off, yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, in that case, I wouldn't want to necessarily give the medication because then the body can't do what it does. It will suppress that. He didn't use the word suppress. That's my word. But he had never even heard that. And I fear that a lot of other people don't really know what symptoms are and what they do.
Right.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I feel like if I give given Tylenol over an extended amount of time, it takes them longer to get past whatever they're fighting off. So
I believe studies show that as well.
Yeah, and most kids 24-hour fever is basically it and over, unless something is severely wrong. These colds, I don't even bother with, and rest and hang out and relax.
Hang out, relax.
Yeah, it usually goes away within 24 hours,
Right. Now, having said that, we do agree, because we all talked about the worst pain we've ever experienced, that there is a time that you just can't deal with it.
Yeah.
And at that point, the medication's a good idea. Are you is anyone here, and I wouldn't think so, given that I know you all, is anyone under the impression that the medication is what actually heals people?
No.
No.
Okay. All right, good. In your experience, Jen, as a coach, is that what people tend to think?
Yeah, they think that they don't have blood pressure issues if they're on blood pressure meds, or they don't have diabetes if they're on diabetes meds. And in fact, we're just kind of covering it up.
Yeah.
And not letting the body work the way it should be working.
That's interesting. I've done a million consultations, and you don't know how many times, I've asked if,
Right.
they have any particular problems, and they say, no, I don't have high blood pressure. I'm on medication. So what's the medication doing in that case, Thea?
It's like putting a Band-Aid on a problem that's there, and it's covering up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Very interesting. So a couple of weeks ago, I had a telemed appointment. Raise your hand if you've had a telemed appointment in the last 2 years. Right? Yeah, it's become very popular.
Hello, love bug.
So I was talking to the doctor, and we had done some imaging, and he wanted me to do some follow-up blood work. And so he was sending me for blood work, and I said to him something to the effect of, I don't know if I want to go, because I'm almost definitely not going to do what you recommend. And he started laughing. To his credit, he started laughing. Like he didn't try to play God with me and say, you have to do what I say or anything like that. So he understood it. But he said, it's a good idea because maybe we'll discover something. And I said, I thought about it, and I said, you know what? You're right, Doc, because it might be the case that a health issue, at a certain point, it turns into a medical issue. And at that point, I might want to handle it medically, so I need to know that information. And he said, well, health issues are medical issues. And I said, oh, no, they're not. So this is a distinction that most people don't really understand. Corinne, are you under the impression that all health issues are medical issues?
No, they're not, because kind of like what you were saying, right? Like somebody's diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, that's self-induced. And if you make the decisions to eat right, to make yourself a healthier person, then you are making the decision to remove, or not remove, but put at bay, shall you say, the type 2 diabetes.
Right. Very well done on that. Bingo, because that's kind of what I said to him. I mentioned diabetes, I mentioned blood pressure as examples of health issues, right? They're indications that you're not healthy. Your body's not functioning as it should be.
Right.
For particular reasons, and those things can be remediated. By the way, Corinne, do you need a high chair?
No, why? Do I look small? Is that better?
You ever notice, she's kind of... Okay. That's exactly what I mentioned to him, and he didn't get it. At a certain point, I gave it up. I was like, well, okay, we don't want to get into a philosophical conversation.
Right.
So, and I do intend to go for the blood work, and I may or may not end up doing what he recommends that I do. I want to get into this idea, though, of language. Jennifer, what is going on with language? Why is it that so many people believe that when they have their health history done, it's a medical history? When they have a health problem, it's a medical problem. What is going on with the languaging there?
Well, we've been sort of subjected to a huge advertising campaign through the years. Like back in the day, doctors were considered healers. They would come in and they would look at you, and if nothing was wrong, or if there was nothing that needed treatment, like a broken bone, they would just say, take 2 aspirin, call me in the morning, kind of thing, right? So as as we've become more and more medicalized, the languaging has changed. So one of the things that people need to look out for is there'll be this advertising campaign about, say, for example, cholesterol meds. And then all of a sudden you get this announcement that cholesterol level should be, well under 200. And that corresponds to a new medicine being released. So every time you see an uptick in language about blood pressure or cholesterol or diabetes or whatever, you have to kind of keep an eye out for what the medicine is that's coming out that corresponds with the seemingly innocuous information campaign.
Right.
So, we treat normal things as medical things. And like birth has been very medicalized. It's a very normal process. It's part of life. And, the key component of a really good doctor is how many medicines they get you off of.
Right.
It stresses your health, not how many medicines they put you on to, which, one goes on top of another because you have the side effects that need to be addressed. So whatever those side effects are, now they miraculously need a medical intervention. So it's an interesting thing to watch from an outside standpoint when you're not in that world. So it's just a different viewpoint.
Yeah, Jackie, is that your understanding?
I think it's all perspective. I mean, the truth is communication. Communication is key, and I think that you have to also trust your physician. I think that everybody should have some sort of point of reference. It's not to downplay what they do or what they're trying to do in terms of helping you, but you have to be on the same page, and you also
Right.
have to trust your instincts as well. You have to make your own decision, not do something because someone's telling you this is what's best for you in a cookie cutter way. So, for example, if somebody does have, let's just say, high blood pressure or something along those lines, oh, you should be on medication because it's family history. You all have high blood pressure. That doesn't make me feel comfortable because that doctor is just putting you into a category as opposed to helping you fix your issue. So there's an underlying issue that has to be addressed.
Right.
And then if I don't understand why, if you're borderline, you'd be taking the same medication that somebody else would be taking who is, let's say, severe if needed. I think a lot of it is communication. I think it's been removed. Not all doctors explain that to patients.
Right. Well, everything comes down to communication, and unfortunately, language has been co-opted.
Right.
Right. And that's why I say medical history, it's so ingrained in the language, and really it makes medicine almost a branding exercise.
Mm.
Right.
And this is not to denigrate any of the victories of medicine. I
No,
mean,
not at all.
I'm glad that there are antibiotics if you need an antibiotic. I
Absolutely.
don't always think that it should be the first thing that you do, but I'm
No.
glad that they exist. I'm
No.
glad that procedures exist that could save our lives.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But the fact is that, we have I think it's $2.3 trillion medical industry in this country, and we're the least healthy of the industrialized nations.
Exactly.
That says a
And
lot.
so,
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
So that says a lot.
That says a lot. We're not getting what we pay for. I mean, we pay the most. I think it's almost $9,000 per capita.
Mhm.
Yeah, but Dr. Rendelstein isn't part of that because of the fact that when you look at like the food industry,
Yeah.
there's so many hidden things like Roundup in your food, and you think that you're eating healthy and you think you're doing the right things for your children, for example, myself. And then when you sit back and you read what's in this stuff, you're like, what in the world? Like,
Right.
why am I
It's another
feeding my
example,
kid
though,
this?
of the appropriation of language, because
Exactly.
they'll call something,
Something
healthy or
else.
natural or low fat, and then you look at the ingredients and you can't pronounce that.
Well,
Right.
that's exactly it. That's what I was going to say. If something says light, or it's like light, you're thinking light. It's airy. It's thin. It's all things perfect. It's a play on words, and it's actually not to our benefit.
And it's interesting because like the European nations, there are certain things that the United States allows, but European nations say, I'm not doing it.
Like Roundup, for example.
Yeah, right. So it leaves you to question, like, well, we're the most unhealthiest nations because we allow too much.
Well, think of the cycle, right? So
I mean, if I'm
cycle
wrong,
is-
I'm wrong, but
No,
that's
no,
just
no.
my thought
I don't.
process.
No, I don't think you're wrong. I think you're absolutely correct. But the cycle is that a person is born into this understanding, right? Our parents did certain things with us because they were told to.
Mhm.
I asked my mother once why I wasn't breastfed, and she said because, well, they said it wasn't good for you. Like, really? I mean, thousands of years of evolution versus, one guy coming out with a book and saying that you're better off with formula, with some kind of a crappy soy-based formula. That's going to be better for me. It doesn't make sense, but it was in question. So we're born into that where our habits are unhealthy habits. We're eating processed foods. Inevitably, we are going to have a problem, which is going to develop a symptom, which is very often the body's way of dealing with that problem.
Right.
And then what do? We take a medication.
Mhm.
And then what happens from the medication, Jen?
Side effects. Yeah. There's
Oh,
also
wait, by the way, that's a branding word also. Side effect.
side effects. Yeah. It's all languaging. There's also a common misconception that these diseases run in families, or obesity runs in families. And what really runs in families is bad habits.
Right.
So, we have certain genetics. There are things called dictator genes that control eye color, hair color, height, whatever, like things that we cannot really affect. But then the other genes that are there, like genes for diabetes or genes for high blood pressure, those are lifestyle diseases that we have 100% control over.
Certainly type 2 diabetes,
Yeah,
right? And there are genetic issues. There are
correct.
genetic diseases. But yes, your point is still well made.
Yeah, so we can talk about type 1 a whole other time because that's a touchy subject, but we'll stick with type 2. So what happens is our genes, those particular genes that contribute to diseases, load the gun. What we do personally pulls the trigger. And that sounds like a really hard, no pun intended on this topic, pill to swallow. But it's actually very empowering because it gives us more control over our own lives. Like to say, I can't control it, or it's my family history, it's my destiny to blah, blah, blah. That's like really discounting what we can do.
Yeah, they call that genetic determinism, and it is kind of a fatalistic way to look at things. So, Jen, what is epigenetics? You hear a lot about epigenetics these days. What is that?
So I don't really have a full-on understanding of it, but because I haven't delved into it. But my cursory understanding is that what we do and what we're doing on a daily basis changes the structure of our genes as we go. So, like, if you take in a lot of sunshine and whatever, it evolves the genetic sequence in our bodies. If you eat foods that are not good or take in medicines that are not good, that also evolves the genetic sequence.
Right.
So it does change our genetics. It's an emerging field. Like I said, I haven't really taken a deep dive into it. So, but
basically there could be a propensity towards something, but your
Right.
habits will dictate
Correct.
whether or not it expresses itself.
correct.
All right, good. Okay. So that's going to be it for today. Next week, we're going to be talking about something very important. We are heading in to the most worrisome time of the year. I might even write a song about it.
The most worrying sign.
That's right. That's exactly what I'm thinking. It's the most worrisome time of the year.
For a lot of reasons.
For a lot of reasons, right? But as far as health goes, as far as certainly weight goes, we are heading into a treacherous time. That doesn't mean I want anyone to enjoy it any less. I just want us all to survive through it. Actually, that sounds kind of like, that sounds terrible to say. It's not that dangerous, but we do have to be smart.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that next week. Strategies for getting through the holiday season while still be able to fit in your pants and and not needing a triple bypass. Okay, would anyone like to say anything before we say goodbye?
Have a good week.
Yep.
Anything else?
Stay hopeful.
Stay hopeful.
Ooh,
Be healthy.
Okay, good. All right, so that's going to be it for today, and we will see everyone later next Tuesday.
Bye.
Exactly.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.